Richie Sandoval, thank you very much for coming on to theboxingbar.com, my friend. Welcome.
Hey, pleasure for me, just as well.
And what's going on right now in Vegas? You guys are, I think, trying to open everything up over there. And
Oh
how's
yeah,
everything over there in Vegas at the
no,
moment?
everything's. It just seems like it's resuming back to what was before.
Right.
Just to get everything going, structured wise. The public and tourists and all that stuff keeps structuring again.
I bet it was pretty weird seeing Vegas down like during all this pandemic stuff. I mean,
You know what? What was strange for me was to see the streets empty.
yeah.
Oh man, I was like, what the? It looked like a ghost hit the town, man.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, is this really, is this for real?
Yeah.
Just one of those kind of feelings that you just couldn't even imagine. Really? This is actually taking place. I mean, it looked like I don't know, ghost town. It was weird. It was just totally weird.
I bet, man.
But
Especially you living in a place that's so vibrant like that, like in Vegas. You
yeah,
see all
because
the
I mean, I
you
was
see all
used
the
to seeing,
fights and everything, and
yeah,
you see the place so vibrant all the time with the action
yeah,
going on at the strip and everything. And damn, I can't even picture it being like a ghost town, like you're saying.
I know. Yeah, just, man, I was like, wow, this is a change.
Yeah,
This isn't normal. It's not normal.
I
And I
bet.
just kind of like, wow. I'm sure the hotels are kind of like, frustrated because they don't see any business, but it is what it is.
And how do you see boxing right now? I saw a few top ranked shows in the last couple weeks. They've been
Yeah.
coming on, and with no crowd, nothing like that. From your time and from everything that you thought you would experience in your lifetime, how do you see this at the moment with no audience and all that stuff going on?
That's weird for me. It is totally strange and it's weird. I mean, I'm not used to that. I mean, that is something that is totally, taking, I don't know, it's taking another turn for a different direction. And I'm like, wow, no crowd, huh? Interesting. I mean, like, what happened? Was there the ghost town or something? I don't know. That was weird. I mean, just like, man, all right. Well, I mean, sign of the times, I guess, or I don't know. It's a new direction or guideline, whatever. That was just something, a new experience. I can just call it.
What I've read of you, anyways, I've heard of you forever, but you're originally from the Pomona area, and I remember that being known because of you and your brothers, and Sugar Shane Mosley down the line. Are you originally from the Pomona area? You and your
No,
family and all that?
I was born in East Los Angeles, East LA,
Yeah.
Bay Vista Hospital,
Wow.
downtown LA. As you're heading west, it was on the right hand side. Now the hospital, and it was white, but now it's on the left hand side as you're going west. And yeah, it's on the left hand side and it's black. It's all glass. It's black, dark shaded glass. I know because of the sun and what have you. And when it gets hot, oh my goodness, you definitely want to have a cool vibration somewhere. And that's why I feel that it's black that way for that process that when it gets hot, oh, you want to keep that cooler on. But yeah, it's changed. It has changed.
Your parents are from Mexico? Are they originally from Mexico? Are they from
My
this?
dad's from Texas,
Okay.
born in Fort Worth, but my father was orphaned as a baby,
Mm.
orphaned. And from what I just hear, from what I heard, family nearby took him on and they raised him. And, instead of staying there in Texas, they took him to Mexico, Guadalajara and Jalisco. And that's where he was raised. And when he hit, his teens, when he can actually apply for a job,
Right.
they said, you have your paperwork, hang on to it, take it with you. If you wish to, you might have better opportunity in California or Texas, but you're in the States. And he took that assumption and said, yeah, I'm gonna give it a shot. And being that, yeah, like you said, he was on his own. And he says, once in a while when he'd get upset with me, he would tell me, you don't know what it's like to sacrifice. You don't know what it's like. And, he would really try to get me to dig. I guess he's trying to dig deeper in my spirit or deeper in my soul so I can find myself and make myself even work even harder to make something happen, because I knew he wanted a champion in the family, but I didn't think it was going to be me at the time. But then again, I was that young, and so I was just structuring myself through the amateur ranks, and I started seeing things a lot better than my brothers, that's for sure. And I took it a lot more seriously, as well as I started seeing things in a certain pattern, a certain structure form. And I said, I got to do this, I got to do that. But I was in the light flyweight division back then. And eventually, the world championships were in Belgrade, Yugoslavia. I got bronze there. Then the next one was the next following year, 78, 79, the Pan American Games. And but for each tournament, you have to win a national title first, which would either Golden Gloves or AAU. Then you qualify in a box off against the all military champion. You beat him, you make the team. So that happened every year. Every year, I always had to win a national title, and then I have to fight the military champion to qualify to make the team. I was reading everything. I mean, I'm lucky because I felt blessed that I was able to see these things vividly. People don't even see that. I mean, I was surprised that, all these guys, they see it, they don't see it. They see it, they don't see it. They're just seeing, different characters, different people, personalities, and what have you. And, I'm just taking that as, I got to stay positive, stay structured, do my road work.
Back it up a little bit. Your two brothers, you have two older brothers that were involved in boxing. Everybody knows Superfly Alberto Sandoval, and also your
Superfly,
and also your older brother Joe.
Yeah.
How was it that you got into the boxing thing yourself? Was it because of them? Was it because of your dad?
Because you know what? They first went to the gym the first day. I didn't. I stayed home. And then when they came back, I just started talking to them. How'd it go? Blah, 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 and then I said, was there anybody my size, my age? Because I was 7 years old. And he goes, I think there was. Yeah, there was one or two. And so I said, you think I can go, the following day, the next day, tomorrow? They said, sure. You want to go? I said, why not? I started thinking about when I was home that day that they went. I started thinking a lot of little things coming through my mind, through my head. I started wondering, well, by the time I reach their age, because they're 5 and 7 years older than me, I could probably be that much more, experienced, 5, 7 years more, more years on my belt. I'll know how to handle myself, I would think. So I started thinking. That's why I asked them if there was anybody my age there. I'd like to give it just take a look. Maybe would I like it? I don't know. We'll find out. But when they said there was two other young kids there, young men, whatever, they said, yeah, there is. And so when I went, I started, I started seeing it as something I can structure myself, construct my ability, my talent, if anything. Just take it one day at a time, though. I can't rush it. I can't do anything of that nature. I just got to be patient and just go through it, And I remember one time when I got initiated, practically, that's what it felt like. A young man named Bobby Rizzo, and he was so smooth. I said, wow. I mean, he was moving around like he's been boxing for maybe 10, 15 years already. And he was only boxing for maybe a couple of years. That's it. But I said, dang, he had the tenacity of being able to move and to sway and slip. He was already there. I'm like, how did he get so amazingly sharp? I mean, it was just unbelievable. And I remember when my trainer says, you want to move around with him? I said, why not? Yeah, well, let's go. He gloved up and he was bobbing and weaving, slipping my punches, and boom, he picked one up right up in between my chest and my stomach. And I'm like, just like, I just kind of almost choked on that one. And I'm like, dang, that was a good shot. He started realizing, hey, he's got to ease up on me a little, but he didn't really do that much because he was still trying to tag me. And so I said, okay, this is a survival mode now. I got to survive in this thing. So it's not about patty cake and, you're going to take it easy on me. No, no, these guys, they're going to try to bring me down, break me down. They're going to try to just, and I got to start manning up to myself and that's when they gave me the realization that this is a real sport. And this is not a sissy sport. You don't play ball or volleyball or anything like that. This is about you take it, and if you get caught, that's on you. Otherwise, if you can touch him, it favors on you. So there's a lot of little things but that was the only time I really got, I guess, initiated in that form. Because after that, I started handling myself a lot better, and my trainer started having me spar with my brother, who used to kick my butt every day. And I'm like, well, another day, another butt kicking. Going to the locker room, whatever. I used to think like that. I used to say, well, another day, another butt kicking. But that was just my breaking in structure, getting my what do you call it, stars and stripes? I don't know, whatever you want to call it. My stars, my
Yeah.
badges of honor, I was just trying to find my way, and that was just how I had to go about finding my way, finding my structure. And then I started having a fight on the weekend here, fight on the weekend there. And I lost my first fight, my first two fights, in fact. That didn't bother me because I knew I was green, and I knew that I was trying to find my structure because I had to get it. I had to get it. Now,
When you were a kid, what were you like growing up? Like now we know you as a calm, quiet kind of type of guy. What were you like? What were you like as a kid? Were you like that? Were you different? What were you like
I
as a
was
kid coming up?
quiet.
Were you?
My dad, he used to, oh man. Well, he's not with us anymore, so I can say it now, right? I mean,
Yeah.
man, he, my two brothers, he wouldn't say much to them. They were as they were. But me, he was a lot stricter with me. And I kept wondering, what's the deal? What's the program? Why am I being treated so differently from everybody else? That's the way he was treated when he was orphaned, living with not his original parents.
Wow.
He was raised by, when you're not raised by original parents, they're not going to treat you
Yeah,
with tender, loving
you feel
care.
like a stranger. Yeah.
They're going to be treating you like, hey, yeah, like a stranger. You ain't going to have a whole lot of tender, loving care there. I can feel it now. I mean, I said, wow. When I got to capture and understand that, I said, oh my goodness. Now I know what he's talking about. Now I know what he's talking about. Wow, I mean, it hit me like a right hand, and I said, "Oh my goodness!" It was like saying, "I understand how he grew up now." It hit me, like I said, like a right hand, boom, right down the chops, and I said, "Wow, okay, I get it, man." I mean, it just made me wake up. So I guess you can say. I kept wondering. I got two older brothers. How come you don't treat them like that? Because they rebel against him. I wasn't rebelling against him. I was doing as he said. But even though I was being that way, obedient, he was still treating me like a soldier. You know?
Do you think it's because maybe you reminded him so much of himself because you were like him, that quiet and all that stuff, that maybe that's what it was?
Probably. I think so. I started realizing there might be some similarities there,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking, wow. I mean, now I know what he had to deal with,
Right.
but I'm not orphaned. I mean, I'm his biological son. I mean,
Right.
but he's treating me like I was a stranger.
Mm.
I mean, and no, but he showed me some love, but it wasn't always like, I didn't feel like I was always family. I felt like he's always treating me like I'm orphaned or something. But I understood it though. He wanted us to
Did you feel
understand
you
that
had
he was treated.
did you feel like you had to prove yourself to him in that way?
Yeah, you know, but on top of that, I also realized he wanted one of us to make it successfully in boxing. And right there, I kind of had that understanding right there that I'm gonna have to try to do my best all the time to make him happy, make him, feel humble, and just, my work that I'm doing is gonna make this man proud and happy. Make him proud. That's, I guess, pretty much the way I can describe it.
Your dad felt like that. What did your mom think at the time, being a mom, and was she kind of like, go ahead, be a boxer, or was she trying to stop you,
Oh,
from being
no,
a
no,
boxer?
no. She supported, whatever. And the thing about her, on her end, she was always doing stuff for me. What I mean is, she was always washing my clothes, made food for me, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And like I said, washing my clothes. I mean, and just as long as they saw that I was doing something, I was always doing the yard. I always did the yard work, mow the lawn, water the grass, wash his car. I was always doing something, It was always doing yard work though, because we had a big yard, and from the front to the back and the front, just whatever. And then eventually we got a garage. We had a garage put on, and cement was poured on the side as well, so we can drive through. There was a lot of little things, that were included in that house. Yeah, I mean, it was just amazing, just growing up in that house.
And all
It's
you
just,
guys, we talked the other day for a little bit, and you were telling me a little bit about your brothers, and you said that your older brother was about hanging out with the homies.
Mhm.
Your brother Albert was more about being the flashy guy, the super fly, he became known to, and then you
Yeah,
were like the quiet one. You guys all seem so different from each other.
yeah.
Were you guys close as a household or as
We,
a family unit? Were you guys pretty
we were
close?
only close because there was, there was really nobody else to hang with.
Mm.
There was, I mean, what are we gonna do? We can't sit around and talk to our sisters. They're doing their thing, and well, we gotta make the most we can with whatever, and um, go to the gym together. I mean, come back, watch TV. At the time, there was just one TV. Wow. And when my mom was watching it, we got to sit around and watch it too, because it was what? Channel 34 in Spanish. So, yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
we didn't have much choice back in the day
Yeah.
until finally things started happening. We started having, my older brother got a job, more money coming in, whatever. The household, it's not just dad's paycheck. Now it's brothers, and my two brothers started working, and so things started happening, and eventually my sisters got a job, and they started working too, and and then eventually, I mean, hey, I was in high school and I got a job, as a selling clothes, and I was a stock boy first, and then after that, then I started working the register, working the clothes men's department. It was interesting. It was really interesting.
What was your amateur career like?
There was a lot of little things that I started noticing bring you to a better form as a boxer. Number one, you got to run. If you don't run, nobody's going to do it for you. So, that's number one. Number two, you got to be in the gym every day. You can't be missing. So that's number two. So, and other than that, it's like you go to school. Okay, when you come home, get ready to go to the gym. And I did that all the time, every day. No vacations, no nothing. I mean, unless there was a weekend tournament or something, wherever we might. Sometimes we go to San Diego, and that's a tournament over there. Be 4-day weekend for us, so we have to fight once or twice a day. That usually would happen. And you win, you got to go to the next one. You win that one, you go to the next one. So every time you win, you got another fight coming up. So usually you got like 4, maybe 5 fights throughout the whole week. And if you're winning one, the next one, then you go all the way to the finals. And if you win that, hey, you are basically considered that regional champion. And that's what it is. It's like a regional. You got a town tournament in your local environment where you grow up, and then you go to the district area. That's another tournament there. And then you go to the regionals, and then you win that, and then that regional is like the all state, and then you go to the nationals where all 50 states take a team and you compete. So I did that like what 4 or 5 times. I was 4 time, 2 time national champion Golden Gloves, 2 time national champion AAU, and then there was a tournament at Colorado called the Sports Festival, Colorado Springs. I entered that and I won that. And so I started getting my strides, finding myself after, so many years of doing it. I started really finding myself. And the thing that really taught me a lot was sparring with my brother, because that's what happened. As soon as my trainer realized there's no real little guys to spar with, he'd have me move around with my middle brother. But like I said, he used to initiate me all the time, all the time. He sent me home crying sometimes. Like, dang, I thought we're supposed to be, brothers here. You trying to tear me up like I'm your enemy. I mean, don't you think you can let up a little? Or, I mean, he's blazing away, and he didn't know how to do that. That's what surprised me. If I had a younger brother, I would be showing him. I would be testing him. I wouldn't be taking him apart. I'd be teaching him because he's my younger brother. But I don't have one. So it's okay. That's fine. I mean, I had to find my way, but I did, and I had to evaluate structures and see what works for me and what would eliminate a lot of theory out in the future, or I can say, okay, I can do this, I can do that. That's why I said eventually I started getting my pace, my grind, my movement. And that's why I said when I won my first national championship, I knew I can do that. That's why I went around and I repeated it again. And I said, well, I don't have to. I'm 2 time national champion at that time, AAU Golden Gloves. Oh, the next time around, I got robbed. So I said, that's all right. I don't care. At least I know I did this and I was able to capture it. So when they took that second time around that I went to the nationals, I said, that's all right. I ain't worried about it. It was like a workout for me. And so eventually, but then they used me because they wanted somebody to represent the U.S. at the World Championships. That was in Belgrade, Yugoslavia. So I was invited to go to the tryouts. I won that, and then I had to fight the all-military champion. I beat him, so I went to the World Championships in Belgrade, Yugoslavia. I came back with a bronze medal. There was only 2 medalists, and they were both bronze. So I was one of them, and I was just grateful to be one of them. Following one was a Pan Americans. They were in San Juan, Puerto Rico. I got silver there. I should have got gold. I should have came back with a gold. To this day, I even still would say I got robbed, but that's okay. I lost to who? Cuba? Please. I beat the guy, but what so much, what's it going to do if I start trying to, preach like a lawyer that I won? I know I won. It ain't going to bring back a medal. So be it. It was just an experience. So, came back with silver, and then, so I'm after coming back with that, I'm starting to focus on the Olympics. But just before the Olympics, there's another tournament I started hearing, which was in what? November in New York City. What was it called? The World Cup. And I said, I want to be busy. So hey, the next tournament would get me ready for the Olympics, and that's until June. So if I'm in the beginning of the year, like in January, there's too many months ahead. So I said, I got to stay busy. So I went to that tournament in New York. I fought different guys from different countries, 1, 2, and I said, okay, as long as I keep winning, I'm going. So I went all the way to the finals, fighting a Russian in the finals, defeated him. I won the World Cup, which was at Madison Square Garden. And I said, well, hey, that lifted my spirits up. I said, I'm ready to go. Let's go for that Olympic thing.
How did Richie Sandoval find boxing?
eventually I was like always underneath my brother. So as soon as he started realizing I'm catching up to him, he's starting to tell me, slow down. I go, well, you didn't tell me that when I started sparring with you. You used to beat the booty out of me, you know.
Yeah.
You used to just whip me up left and right. Finally, now I'm getting closer to your age bracket, but he's 5 years older than me. He used to just tear me up, and I'm like, slow down. Now the wheels have changed.
Yeah.
Now the wheels have finally changed, and he says, slow down. I said, oh, now you know what I felt like, huh? I'm capable of handling myself because I'm quicker now. I got momentum and I got size, and now I'm able to work with him and like almost on equal stature. But the fact that I was younger and a lot quicker, he was telling me to slow down. He was already, you know, fighting, you know, number of times already, ranked as well at the Olympic Auditorium, fighting under, who was the promoter? Eileen Eaton, Lady Dragon, something like that.
Man, she had a few different names, man. She was like the originator of being the top lady of boxing. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly, exactly. She had people that was working with her as well.
Don Chargin.
They call him War
of the Week. Yeah,
War of the Week. Don Chargin.
He used to throw those fights on. And the thing about those days, man, is that, you know, like people that only know the boxing from, like, you know, back in the day, they say Madison Square Garden, but people from the East Coast, that's all they know about. They don't know that there was an uprising on the West Coast with all the Asian and Hispanic fighters in the 50s and 60s. I mean, you know, people thought the Hispanic stuff started when Chavez fought or Barrera and Morales.
Right.
Man, we have a long history of, you know, 50s and 60s and 70s of being there.
Yes.
And people don't realize that. And, you know, Eileen Eaton was a big part of that. So was Chargin. You know, they were a big part of that. And you know, your brother, and you know, I'm sure everybody knows about that stuff.
Those, you know, in the back in the day, Mondo Ramos,
Raul Rojas,
Armando Muñiz,
Raul Rojas,
Raul Rojas,
Oh my God, they were the shoremen. They were longshoremen from
that's right.
They were brought
Long
up
Beach.
from Long Beach, and their manager was Jackie McCoy. You know, if you remember.
There you go.
And Richard Steele was actually, you know, part of that.
Exactly. He was fighting back in the day.
Yeah, he was a light heavyweight. And then he got a shoulder injury and he became a referee down the line. But, you know, but yeah, he was all part of that too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Would you say it came naturally to you, or was it something that you really had to work at to get good?
It was just, as long as I stayed focused, I was able to go through the whole process, you know, like convincingly, just keep it going without distractions. Because if you get distractions at home, at school, you know, if you get distracted in that with your friends, if the girlfriends or something, as long as you keep your mind on the right track and not allow yourself to get distracted, things will pick up quickly, you know, if you stay focused. And I knew what I wanted already. That's why I wasn't always giving in to anybody at school or at home or any place, because my mind was already set, you know, on this career of boxing. And I knew every time out, every weekend we practically had a trip to, you know, somewhere away from Pomona, which was either Santa Ana, East LA, Teamsters, Resurrection as well. That was which in East LA as well. And those always, Westminster, Anaheim, those always places out there that we had to go. Then San Bernardino, very few times, but once in a while they'd have a show in San Bernardino, but it was more so on the other side, more on the shoreline West Coast.
You had all this great amateur background. What do you think of an amateur background? Is that a necessary thing for?
It's perfect
for
it's perfect.
Anybody that's wanting to become pro. Would you recommend?
Yes, without a doubt, I recommend, if anybody wants to be worldly known as a skillful boxer, amateur route is the best way to go. First of all, go the amateur route, without a doubt. It's like going to college. Being in the amateurs is like going to college. You learn your trade. By the time you're ready to go pro, hey, You already know how to move. You already have experience competing against other oppositions. So once you got so many fights under your belt, that's experience.
Heck yeah.
And when you got tournaments, in every tournament you go like at least 3 or 4 times. So you know you got to fight. You know you got another somebody you got to face and this and that. And that experience right there gives you that much more assuredness of what you're doing.
You know, and I tell so many people that there's people that say, "Oh, well, the Olympics is over, it's overhyped and all this stuff." And I say to myself, "All right, 1960 had an Olympian named Muhammad Ali, you know, who's considered the biggest, you know, icon of the sport. Okay, you go down the line, 64, you had a Frazier, 68, you had Foreman, you had 76." Well, Ray Leonard, you know, Ray Leonard was the main guy of the 80s.
Oh, there was a big team. There was a bunch of guys
in the 80s.
A bunch of guys on that 76 team.
The 76 team, yeah, the Spinks brothers. Howard Davis, you know, all these guys.
Yeah, the Spinks brothers, Michael and Leon.
The 84 team was, you know, what was considered to be the dream team, Holyfield and Pernell Whitaker and Mildred Taylor and Breland and all those guys.
That's right.
80, you know, who was the guy from the main guy from the 90s? You know, Roy Jones Jr., he was from the 88 Olympics. 88 was another, you know, a small guy named Carbajal that you would later scout.
Michael.
And yeah. And, you know, you would later, you know, scout for Top Rank. And he became the biggest small guy, the first $1 million gate
he's the only one.
The small guys. 92 Olympics, Oscar De La Hoya, one of the biggest guys of all time. 96 Olympics, Floyd Mayweather, the biggest guy of all time. You know, how can you say the Olympics is overrated? You know, it has its record. You know, and people can't say Errol Spence is considered one of the best today, Olympian too. You know, so it's like I don't understand how people could say it's overrated. You know,
I know.
You know, these guys are, you know, that they're there for a reason. You know, and
sure,
you're on that list too of the 1980s, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. But you know, if we backtrack a little bit to that, you know, you brought up all your amateur career and all that stuff. What did it take to get to those trials and to get to that level to be on, let's say, an Olympic team? What did it take?
Dedication.
What did it take for you to get there? You know,
I had I had a strict father, like I said.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I mean, it's crazy. It is so crazy. My parents had me. It's like they were feeling like I was the one. They kind of felt that. I guess that's what it was, because they always looked out for me. They always checking on me if I was okay. Where am I at? Where am I going? What are you doing? You know, I mean, if I'm outside, they're keeping an eye on me, you know? I'm like, gee, I mean, what am I? Am I in prison? I mean, well, what's the deal? I mean,
all the sacrificing.
It's just keeping an eye on me that I don't get distracted, because there's a lot of distractions in this world.
Yeah.
And
when you're that young, everything you had to give up, girls or going out or hanging out or eating all the good food or whatever the heck it is at that age, you know, who wants to give that up?
Everything. I had to miss out on the good meals, because every time I take off to the gym, okay, come on, honey, let's bring out that, you know, that whatever, that pie or that turkey or that, you know, that ham, whatever. I mean, she used to do it up. I mean, enchiladas, tacos, whatever, burritos. I mean, she did everything. I mean, you know, menudo. I mean, she did everything. And by the time I come back from the gym, it's like nothing happened. The tables are clean and nothing's going on. And I'm just there having my soup, soup and some tea, you know? Yeah. And I'm like, all right, you know, they sure knew how to distract that case right there. They knew how to eliminate temptation when it was there, and then they knew how to bring it out when it was time. I mean, they had it all down. I mean, it was just like they were always reading me, you know. That's what it was. They were always trying to figure when I leave, when I'm back, when I'm going. I should normally be heading this way, that way, whichever. I'm like, dang, they were always on program, you know. God, it was weird, strange. Just they were able to just feel it out. I'm just trying to stay focused. My schedule, trying to keep my schedule right. There's times I needed my rest. There's times I needed, you know, head to the gym, come back, when I'm back, they're just trying to keep away from getting me that temptation of whatever, no smelling this, no smelling that, whether it's a pie or pizza or whatever, the ham or the enchiladas, freaking tamales, whatever it was, they were always trying to keep all that temptation away from me.
All the trials for the Olympics and all the tournaments.
Yeah.
What was that like, man? Grueling?
See, by that time for the Olympic trials, I already had myself programmed, and yeah, that was cool because I was already reading everything. I was reading my opponents. I was reading, there was so many different things that I was able to capture and see. And I said, okay, all right. And I was already putting it in my head, because I already knew the division I was heading to. And I already said, I got to go against this guy, that guy, that guy. And then if I go to the finals, who should I face in the finals? I already knew who it should be. And because the fact is, I'm not fighting at 106 anymore. I'm going to 12. At number 12, at 112, I knew who the best guy in that division is. And I said, if I have to face him, I can face him in the finals. And that's exactly how it came out. I was already projecting I should fight this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. And at the finals, I should face this individual right here. And that's exactly how it turned out. It was like I already knew it. I already knew it. It was programmed in my brain. I already knew what I had to do and where I had to do it. And I had to knock these blocks off and get to the finals.
For years, I was hearing these stories about Richie Sandoval, his story of how he lived through a plane accident, or he was supposed to be in this plane accident, but he wasn't.
I'm glad you brought that up.
And all that stuff up. Okay, now get that off of my, to get that off of my mind and to know exactly what happened. Because I've heard like maybe 100 different versions of it. There's people that say that there was like a coin toss. There's people that say, you were supposed to be there, but you got hurt for some reason. There's people that say that, something happened, you were late and you didn't make it on that plane, but you were supposed to. So what's a real story to that? What exactly happened?
I heard that story of me running, trying to stop the plane from getting off the ground.
I've heard a few different ones, man. That's
funny because it wasn't that way. That's like making a movie there,
exactly. That's
And I was just like, no, it wasn't even like that.
What happened exactly?
No, the fact of the matter was, first of all, okay, before the Olympic trials, there was 2 trips. One trip was to Poland. The next trip was to Germany. So there's 2 trips, but they're a week or 2 weeks apart. That's how close they were. And I said, well, they asked me first because I'm the number one in my division. Which trip would you like to go? I said, what? What are you talking about? They said, there's 2 trips. I said, okay. They said, I mean, are you interested? I said, why not? I want to stay busy because the Olympic trials are what? Till June? I said, that's too long a wait. So I said, why not? Let's just keep the momentum going. I said, let's do it. And so they said, well, there's 2 trips. One is to Poland and the other one's into Germany. And I said, well, let me think. That's a good question now. I want to fight the best. Why? Because the best brings out the best in you. For future athletes that are trying to figure things out like that, they should try to look at it in the way that I was seeing it. Fighting the best brings out the best in you. Don't look at it as, I'm going to fight this bad boy. He's going to take me apart. Don't look at it that way. He's going to bring out the best in you. And so you got to be ready. Bottom line.
Right.
So going into this trip, I'm saying, okay, we are the first ones then. The first trip is to Germany, but we got to stop in Poland first. All right. Wow. Okay. So I have to meet everybody in New York. So I fly out from Cal, fly to New York. Boom. I'm there. Wait at the airport. See everybody finally come together. We're heading out to Germany. But before we get to Germany, we have to stop in Poland and then head on to Germany. So that's how it was. Boom, boom. Okay. And then we're there for the week. Coming back, We finally got to come back. We got to come back to Poland, then to New York. I get to New York and I switch planes because the next group of guys that are going back to Poland are going on the same plane that we just got off on. Okay, so now they're boarding on that plane that we just got off on, and I'm flying already. I'm already heading back to Cal. So, okay, I come home. Yeah, I see my parents and what have you, and my mom's always looking out for me, taking care of my clothes and stuff. And yeah, so I mean, it was just a normal evening, whatever, and just I wake up early in the morning and I get a phone call, and I'm finding out that that second team that left didn't make it. I said, "What do you mean?" They said the plane went down. What plane? The plane that we were just on that plane, but they're going, and they got on that plane and flew back, and it goes down. And I'm like, what?
Wow.
What? Are you kidding me? I mean, it was just mind-boggling. I was totally stunned. I fell on my knees because I was like, man, I was like asking my Father above for sparing me, because because that plane, why didn't it fall when I was on it? I mean, it was just so many questions were going through my head. Why didn't it happen when I was on it? It happened to the other group that was on it, and it was the same plane. And I'm like, I can't. I mean, it was just, it's just mind-boggling. Just it's hard to digest. And I'm trying to figure things, where, man, I mean, something, I don't know. I don't know. It's so freaking, number one, it's frustrating. And number two, I feel sorry for the guys that were on the plane, because two of them were my buddies. Palomino's brother, younger brother, and David Rodriguez. He was a Pomona fighter that grew up through the Pomona pal that I grew up with. And, man, just knowing that I lost those two friends, and then there was a couple other guys that I knew on that team, but wow, it was a mind blower. To know that plane went down, and the bottom line was, that was just the plane that we got off on. That, wow. I mean, did that send a message to me?
Yeah.
Absolutely. It was just like mind blowing. It's something just, wow. It just, hard to describe. It's hard to describe. It is so hard to describe.
And that happened just
because I felt my life was spared. I was spared, and I should have been. I shouldn't be here. Put it that way. I shouldn't be here talking. I mean, I should be already buried somewhere, but I'm still here, and it's just a mind blowing sensation, because it's just like, wow,
Yeah.
I was just on that plane, and that plane goes back and it goes down. That, I mean, put yourself in that position, try to figure it out. It's hard.
I can't.
I tell you,
that was just over 40 years ago, and that was on March 14th, 1980. It was a Polish lot airline Flight 7 that crashed just a couple miles, like 2 miles away from Warsaw, and it was coming from New York, and all 87 people died on there. 14 USA fighters and 8 staff members of the USA boxing team perished that day. Unfortunately, many people in the boxing community, they had lost all these people, and
there was some prominent fighters on that team,
and
just
to name them, and may they all rest in peace. Paul Palomino, Carlos's brother, Carlos Palomino, Lemuel Steeples, George Pimentel, Calvin Anderson.
Emil, you know what? I still can't understand why Lemuel Steeples took that flight. He was a beautiful southpaw that had, man, I mean, he was hard to fight.
Calvin Anderson, Elliot Chavez, Gary Tyrone Clayton, Walter Harris, Byron Lindsay, Andre McCoy.
Wow, Byron Lindsay was on that plane?
Yeah, Byron Payton as well, Chuck Robinson, David Rodriguez, Jerome Stewart, Colonel Bernard Callahan, Thomas Sarge Johnson,
Yeah.
Joseph Bland, John Radisson, Junior Robles, Ronnie Young, Dolores
Wow.
Wesson, Dr. Ray Wesson, and Steve Smeagol. All may they rest in peace. And actually, I think just in 2010, they put some kind of memorial out there, from the United States to these people. And, again, may they all rest in peace. It was a big loss. And then to top it off, there was no 1980 Summer Olympics there. There was no
Right.
team. And you felt that as well because you were supposed to be on that team. And
Mm-hmm.
because of the invasion of
Afghanistan.
Afghanistan by the Soviets, it didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
And President Jimmy Carter
Yep.
put that boycott on, and you guys didn't get to perform. What did you think of that news? As it is, all this happened, and you lost your buddies here, you lost all your teammates, and all that stuff. Then you find out, you know what, you're not going to be an Olympian after all. How do you take that loss after loss there in that way?
It's hard. It is so hard because that you grow. That was my goal from the get-go. When I started seeing the 76 Olympics right there, I started seeing myself being one of those guys and performing and trying to get a gold medal. And I know my parents wanted one of their three siblings to make it happen. The two older, they were more tuned for the pros. They weren't really that, fitted or structured for the amateurs. And I said, well, I guess I got to do this. And that's how I felt. I got to do this. And then when they realized that we're not going to have our Olympics, I guess, wow. They said, don't worry. My mom's always finding ways to cheer me up and finding, a salvation form to cheer me. She's always finding a positive way to get me on the upside.
Right.
She's always great at that. She knows me already, and she knows how to cheer me up very well. And man, I just all the structure. I always get up early in the morning to sacrifice or whatever. I say that's fine. It's going to pay off at the end. But I'm thinking paying off with a medal around my neck,
Right.
And I'm thinking in that perspective form. And when it doesn't happen, it's almost like you're doing it for nothing.
Right.
I'm a slave. And I always said that to myself. When I wake up in the morning, I'm a slave to my own trade. Simply to my own trade. I'm a slave to my own trade. What is my trade? Boxing. I'm a slave to my own trade, which is called boxing. And unless you know what you're doing, I don't know how else to describe it.
What's crazy is that, you think back 1959, Ritchie Valens, when he lost that coin flip to Tommy Alsop to go onto that plane ride. In that story, he lost a coin toss. In this one, you chose what your destiny was going to be. Go to Germany, like you said, or go to Poland. It just so happened you chose the other spot and you happen to live. And I mean, that's a crazy story. And then both your names are Richie, so it's like, wow, all these like little things. It's like, wow, it's
almost playing that tune again,
Yeah. And that's
it's
crazy.
Like, wow, there's another airplane right here, that could have been in that same structure,
Exactly.
It could have happened again.
And
wow.
Another thing, man, I mean, if let's say the Olympics would have taken place, you would have been the first Latino American to be in the Olympic team. In the next Olympics over in '84, Paul Gonzalez became that, and he even won a gold medal, and great for him. But you would have been that. You know what I mean? You would have been that first Latino. That's crazy. All these little things were robbed of
I know. They were taken away.
Yeah,
they were taken away.
But in a way, you lived. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I don't know.
That's the other side.
Yeah.
See, I mean, if you can't get it this way, I mean, at least I live.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that's hard to fathom because you got to live with that. Also, that your teammates didn't. And that way you suffer too. You know what I mean? So it's that is crazy, man. And again, may they all rest in peace. They were all
Mm-hmm.
Olympians and real warriors, you know,
Oh
and
yeah, heck,
great
they were friends
fighters.
of mine,
Yeah.
and I
Wow,
just like,
that's
man, I
yeah.
mean, why it's hard to explain, but man, the feeling is just, it's undescribable.
I
But
bet. I bet.
y-
In 1984, you were part of the because you guys you didn't get a chance to perform like we said.
right,
They made you a part of the opening ceremony for the '84 Olympics.
yeah,
You were already
I
a
was
pro
with.
fighter by then, but you were a part of that. How did that feel? Did that at least
It
kind of
was,
alleviate?
it felt like I belonged to something.
Yeah.
Being able to be selected
Hmm.
out of all the Olympians, and they asked me because I'm Hispanic. That was the reason why they chose me. And
Plus, you were in your
I was,
backyard too in LA.
there you go. Exactly. I'm the only Californian in that environment, in that team there, 11 flag bearers.
Hmm.
And what do you call it? At the time, yeah, being a world champion also, that kind of helped right there
Yeah.
to get me, become selected, what have you. But our order, Bruce Jenner, Amy Otias, there was all 11 people. I mean, and it was so many names I can't even remember the other ones,
Right.
but they were all on that team, that flag barrier team. That it was just it felt special, it felt unique, different, and it felt special though. There was something special about that feeling there.
But
Um,
there was probably also that feeling of that all that loss as well.
There you go. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
I said, this is supposed to be something
Yeah.
that's supposed to make up for the loss that I had. It doesn't make up for it, but I'm just going through it because it's a process of trying to just, keep the Olympics going
And represent the people that did
and,
lose their
and
life.
represent exactly the people that couldn't make it,
Right.
you know.
Right.
It was just so many things that were flying around my head.
Oh, I bet. I bet. So this all happened at the in '80, in the beginning of 1980. With
Yeah.
you didn't go to the Olympics, so you went ahead and turned pro at the end of
Yep.
1980. What do you remember about your first pro debut there? Your first fight there in Las
Oh heck,
Vegas.
that was
What?
Silver Slipper.
Yeah. What do you remember
Yeah,
about that transition from when you left the amateurs? All that happened with the Olympics, and now you're turning pro. What do you remember about that first fight?
I felt like, let me get my feet wet. That's what I'm thinking. Let me get my feet wet.
Hmm.
Um, these are the pros, but the thing about the pros is I have to slow down. And they keep reminding me that. I always told my trainer, remind me I got to slow down because I'm still on that fast pace, fast track of having to be fast in the amateurs. I don't have to be that fast anymore, but I'm so immune to it that I got to slow down, and it's not easy. So I just told my trainer, please remind me, pace yourself, don't rush yourself, pace yourself. So it was just a reminder I just needed to get. And I said, yeah, 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 okay, okay, but the fact is, when the going gets tough, I pick myself up and I take it to another speeding level, and I have to remind myself after that round, I got to slow down, take it easy. It's not just 3 rounds. So it was interesting. It didn't last long anyway. Just won 2 rounds, and it was just one of those things that when I saw dizzy eyes on my opponent's face, I said, it's time to put him away then. So I can see him, not being quite, focusing on me anymore. So I said, time to end this show. So
What do you remember about fighting like your first, let's say, tough guy against, someone like Harold Petty and fighting him a couple
somebody
times?
like Harold Petty, yeah, yeah, no, no. I mean, I took, you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you.
Hmm.
I can finally say it now. I wasn't even taking him serious. I wasn't even taking him serious. I mean, I was training like I was I was gonna have a fight programmed, but I wasn't being so hard on myself, like I'm fighting somebody that I need to beat. But I felt confident in fighting him, but I didn't feel like I need to be superior over him because I felt like my talent can match his anytime. So I don't have to be super. I just got to be ready. But I took him for granted, put it that way. And I could have hurt him, which I did, but I didn't take advantage of it because I didn't try to stop him because I wasn't there. I just, if I would have been a lot more disciplined, I would have stopped Harold Petty. Without a doubt, I would have stopped him. But being because, I mean, hey, maybe it was his luck. I don't know. He got away with it. Yeah, he got away with it. I mean, he didn't get the W, but I did. But he got away from me stopping him. That's what I'm trying to get at.
When you become like you were already like supposed to be an Olympian, you're already like a celebrated, let's say, amateur that was supposed
Yeah.
to go to the Olympics. Did you feel more pressure because of that? Did you get more big headed
No.
because of that? Did that
No.
at all like mess with your psyche?
No, no. I block it out. Those kind of things, I block it out, and I put the focus in front of me that this is another fight now. Hey, I'm gonna fight who? Harold Petty? Okay, a softball. All right. So we'll see what he's got. I don't know. He talks pretty confident. I saw his interview, and he says I'm one that I can do all things. And so I said, okay, well, he's gonna have to try to do that on me now. So but I was understood that he was sure of himself, and I mean, he's got a nice right hook because he's a southpaw, so he works on his uppercut and his right hook, and he's pretty quick at that, and he snaps it. And I'm thinking, all right, well, he might catch me, and he did catch me a couple of times. But you know what? He slaps with it. That's something I started noticing. He doesn't hit you firmly with his fist. It's like a slap. I don't know. It's hard to explain. He's trying to get it in so fast that it looks like it feels like a slap. And he's wanting to be quick-handed, which is understood, but he never hurt me. I mean, I was like a slap. Because the first time I almost knocked him out. The second time was when I just took him for granted again. What is it? I don't know. It's him. It's only him that I could have done something special, I thought, but I let the outside world life take advantage of my just distractions or whatever you can call it.
And a few fights up from there, or several fights up from there, you fight a guy named David Bejinas at the Olympic Auditorium. And
David Bejinas.
Yeah, that last name, Bejinas, we all anybody that watched fights from back in the day, remember guys like Kiko Bejinas as well. At the Olympic Auditorium, my question, I guess, was you fought several times before that at the Olympic as well. What was it like to fight there at a historical site like that there were so many legendary fights at the Olympic Auditorium? What was it like?
I was up for that fight with David. I was up for that fight. And I did my work. I did everything. But how do I call it? I got bored. I freaking got bored. How can you get bored in a fight?
What I was gonna ask.
I know. I'm there, but I'm not worried. That's what it is. I'm not worried. I'm there, but I'm not worried. And I'm not worried because...
Is it that you don't feel challenged by him or something?
Yeah. I got bored because I didn't feel he's going to give me any trouble. That I'm in there. So I'm just like, a Mexican? Really? I mean, another one? From where? Guadalajara? Really? My mind is just in a different world now, in the cruise control form. He catches me. He wakes me up literally because he drops me. And I'm like, this isn't supposed to happen. But I wasn't worried at all. I wasn't even worried. I got up. I was embarrassed. Yeah. But I said, man, this isn't supposed to be happening. Okay, that's fine. He thinks he's got me. I hope he thinks that way. Because, if he dropped me, I hope he thinks he's got me. So let's see. I want to see him try to finish me off. But a minute later, I drop him. And so I said, okay, so now we're even. So now he knows he's not, he's vulnerable. So that was pretty much the end of that round. So it took like 2 or 3 more rounds, and I stopped him. And I was like, yeah, this is cool.
a few fights up from that, you fight for a lot of people's dream is to fight for the WBA World Bantamweight title. You fight Jeff Chandler in Atlantic City at the Sands Casino. What do you remember about getting the call that you were going to be fighting for the world title, man?
He tried to get into my head. He tried to get into my head. And in other words, what I'm trying to say is he tried to psych me out.
Tough guy.
You know what they say? Anytime you fight somebody from Philly, you're in a war.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to fight the real enchilada, whatever you want to call it. But I said, man, I can beat this guy. I mean, I already felt it. I mean, my vibes were feeling it. I didn't say nothing. I was quiet. I said, I can't say nothing because, I don't want to start any beef. I don't want, he was trying to already intimidate me there because he was, trying to, make faces at me and, like he's going to whoop on me. And I'm like, I just want to tell him, save it. You're going to need it for the fight. I thought he was going to give me trouble, but he didn't. And I did my homework, and that's what I credit everything to, my homework. I did what I needed to do, and my trainer even saw it, and he knew that we're ready. I mean, he saw me work so hard, he knew I was ready. So being there, I mean, he was like as calm as can be, and I was like, yeah, I'm just cool. I'm glad he's just handling it the way he's been doing it. And it was just like, hey, another day, another show, I mean, there was nothing different about it. It was just, let's get it on. That's all I wanted to say. Let's get this over with, let's get the show on the road. Come on, let's get this out. I mean, I'm fighting this, and I'm saying, come on now. You mean Kiko Bejinas couldn't do this guy? Who else? Daniel Zaragoza? What? Are you kidding me? I'm like, come on. I had tougher sparring sessions. I don't know. I sound cocky now, right?
So you fought him, won the world title by 15th round TKO. Yeah. And so you
that's one thing I give him credit for.
Yeah, he did go 15
sticking
rounds.
around all the way.
Tough dude, man. Tough dude.
To almost to the end, practically. Yep. Well, to the end.
Yeah.
Because the 15th round was the round I, finally felt the wear on him, because I was trying to wear him down with them body shots, and I was really trying to drive him. I was pushing it. I said, damn, this guy did his sit-ups, yep. So he was really taking them body shots. He was handling everything I was giving him. Mm-hmm. And I said, wow, he did his homework or something, because I should have stopped him already. But, a guy like him, he shouldn't be able to handle my body shots, but he was hanging in there. And I said, damn, I just can't get this guy. It's all right. It's okay. I'm going to catch him. Later in the later rounds. And that's what it was.
You won the fight. You defended it 2 times. And then after that, you fought 4 non-title fights.
4 non-title fights.
Your first fight that was non-title, it was against a popular guy from the LA area named El Güero, Frankie Duarte.
Yeah.
What do you remember? And I've had him on before and to interview a couple years back. What do you remember about fighting Frankie Duarte?
You know what? There was talk about having a fight with him, but it didn't take place. I always saw him, and I always thought he fights a bunch of the guys are already set up for him to beat whoever he was going to fight. I broke my hand on his freaking forehead.
Wow.
God, he's got a hard forehead. He holds his hands way out.
Yeah.
So he's like free zone. I mean, it's free zone right in the middle. So I'm like, okay, is he teasing me, or is he just trying to see if I can catch him? Because I will catch him. And sure enough, I did. And I popped him right on his forehead. I heard a little crack in my fist. I said, damn, I broke my freaking wrist, or my knuckle. I had a hairline fracture. That's what I had.
Wow.
A hairline fracture. And I couldn't hit him anymore with my right hand. I want to stop him with my right hand, but I just couldn't do it. And I'm trying to just dig into the body now, but I couldn't catch him, but I outboxed him. I use my left hand. I love using my left hand because I can use my jab and use hooks off of it. And I was just boxing him. Frankie was so easy. I mean, I was like, dang, man, I wish I didn't break my right hand because I would have stopped him. I would have stopped him, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
Like we said, you fought 4 non-title fights. He was the first one. You fight 3 other ones. Then the next fight that you do fight for the world title was your last fight when you defended it against, or you were trying to defend against Gaby Canizales, the brother of Hall of Famer Orlando Canizales.
Yeah.
What do you remember about fighting that tough Texan?
I don't remember anything. You know why? Number one, I had to drop to make the weight.
Right.
The last 2 pounds, 18, 19, 20. I was weighing 20. To get down to 18 from the 20, those last 2 pounds killed me. I mean, I was already thin as it is, but how much thinner you want me to get? I was dying to make that weight. I had to die to make that weight. I was just like, looking at my trainer, you're killing me to make this weight. I told you I can't make it, but you don't want to listen. You don't want to listen. I can go to the next division. Let's do that. And I kept pleading him, let's go to the next division, 122. No, but you got the title. I understand, but I can't make it. And you want me to do this and perform well? It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. What do you want me to do? Cut one of my nuts? I mean, it's not going to happen. Shave my hair or my head. I mean, what are you going to do? It's going to make me get to 118. It's not going to happen. I'm outgrowing the division now. It's time to move up to the next weight class.
Yeah.
But, hey.
It's so crazy about like how nobody understands that somebody's body matures. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
You could be like, you could be 20 and by the time you're 24, your body just, you could work your ass off and you can't lose half a pound. And
they don't understand that.
And you see like boxers say, fuck it, I'll pay the $1 million to go in 2 pounds heavy just because I can't lose the weight. I don't want to go in there drained and lose the fight.
Yeah.
And they give it up. And, like you said, you couldn't, you went in there drained as hell and he showed it because that wasn't the Richie Sandoval that we're used to seeing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's crazy. And people don't understand that. They just say, oh, you lost, you suck, that guy beat you, kicked your ass. They don't understand the other side of it. You know what I mean? They just don't, understand the sacrifice and all the killing yourself to even lose half a pound, let alone 2 pounds.
They weren't there to witness me doing what I had to do. Otherwise, they'd be saying, wow, okay, now I understand.
And you probably starved for probably 2 weeks and then had a fight against, the toughest challenger, starving and killing yourself. And, you almost died in there that night. I mean, literally, you almost died in there. And people don't understand that.
No, they don't see that. That's the part.
Yeah.
They don't get to see me having to go through what I went through.
Because if nobody saw that, now I made a page for you. I don't know if you saw it. I sent you a link to the page, but I put the YouTube link for it. So if they want to watch that fight, how you were carrying.
No, don't show that fight.
Yeah,
please.
Well, I mean,
don't show that fight.
All I'm saying is that
because they're not going to learn nothing. See, that's the thing.
That's
all
true.
they're going to learn is don't lose the weight because you're going to look like this guy right there.
Well, that's actually a good lesson though, because I mean, if they see you carried out on a stretcher, man, you weren't supposed. Nobody that I've known has been okay after something like that. They either have a long-term like disability after that, or they die. Yeah. One of the two.
Exactly.
And you lived, so
I lived to tell it.
On top of, what happened to you, in 1980, where you chose, the one airplane over the other one. And then this happens to you. You shouldn't have lived that one either, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? And you came out with no surgery, no, long-term effects. You're still working. You're still you're answering all these questions. You're still around, obviously. After seeing that, I mean, go watch.
Yeah, and then people would look at me and say, "Really?"
I want people to watch. I want them to see you weren't supposed to be okay after that, but you are, and not everybody is, man. I've seen people in front of me get taken out in a stretcher, and that's the end of their career, and they had brain surgeries, and they're in a vegetative state today. And
they're like Gerald McClellan,
and if not worse. The first fight I ever saw was Lupe Pintor when he fought Johnny Owen. He died.
My goodness. Did you see him fall? He fell like a tabla, man.
Yeah, like a tabla, just like a, sack of potatoes, just bam.
It looked like he got shot, right?
It pretty much did. But you know what?
He
He survived for 6 weeks, and he died. After
Yep.
so much suffering. You got to think 6 weeks of being in a coma.
So much trauma, man.
Imagine all that head trauma, and again, you walked out of a hospital after 4 days of that. That's crazy. That's another.
But you know what? It was a blessing from upstairs.
Yeah.
Because upstairs was telling me, get up and tell that lady right there to hold you, just to walk you around the hospital, because I wanted to walk, and I said, hey, you don't mind if you walk me? And she goes, sure. I said, I just don't want to fall.
Are you talking about a nurse or something?
Yeah, inside the hospital. I got up off the bed and I put on my slippers and I said, can you walk me? You don't mind? I don't want to fall. That's all. That's why I want to hold your hand and just walk me, just so that I don't fall. Just keep an eye on me that I don't fall, I don't slip or whatever. But I want to walk around so I can catch my mind would, get itself back together again. And she said, sure. And so when she brought me back, when we finally came back, I said, thank you so much. Can we do this again tomorrow morning? She goes, absolutely. And so we did that like 3 or 4 times, and then that was it.
Wow.
And so I said, thank you so much. I mean, it's like, I don't want to say it's working out, but it's getting my head together in a form of structure to practice my body to get going again. It's like a balancing act from my head to my body.
Yeah.
And they're both training itself.
That's crazy.
Getting itself reacclimating itself again, and that's what it's all about. And we just did it every morning, And every time I said, "Hey, thank you," and she just said, "Sure, it's fine, whatever you want." I said, "Okay, come back tomorrow morning, we'll do it again."
And so you were only there for like 4 days, no surgery, no nothing.
Yeah,
that is crazy.
I know,
because you know what? As a matter of fact, I want to say a couple weeks ago, I think after we talked the first time about doing this interview, I remember I got on. I don't know if it was the fight with Gaby, or if it was another fight or something. But I was looking at the comments that people were putting underneath, and somebody said, "Oh, did you see that fight with Gaby Canizales? He had he had brain surgery done after that fight, and he's lucky he's alive and all this stuff." And I was thinking, what? And then I remember asking you about that, and you were like, "No, I didn't have no brain surgery," And I was like, wait, so all these different rumors, man. I'm glad you're getting them out of the way there, because I hear all these different things, and I always thought that you had surgery too. I guess it's totally different than what really happened.
Oh yeah. I was like I said. I mean, it was a blessing in disguise,
And then right after that, I read an article just a couple of days ago. I read an article from I believe it was the LA Times, and it said that after you were, okay and released from the hospital, that I think Bob Arum reached out to offer you a job position working for his company, Top Rank, where you still work today.
I remember it like it was yesterday. He came to my bedroom or to my room, and he walks right up to me.
By the way, I don't mean to cut you off. By the way, just for people listening, the fight with Gaby Canizales happened on March 10th, 1986. So this is so people can know more or less when we're talking about. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
And and I mean, he came to see me, and he says, I mean, how do you start up a conversation? Well, he says, how do you feel? He sees one eye going looking this way, and the other one's looking the other way.
Wow.
And so he goes, never mind. Because he sees me, I can't dilate my eyes and whatever, and he just said, oh, never mind. And so he goes, well, listen, he says, I've been thinking about something, and he goes, I want you to come work for me. He says, first go back home, take as long as you need, the whole year if you need it, but starting the new year, 87, January, come move to Vegas and start working for me. And I couldn't believe it. It's like, nevertheless, to believe, I totally forgot all about it. because my brain was not functioning still yet. At the time that he was telling me this, my head still needed to get its balance because of the trauma that I had to lose the weight. Now I'm trying to regain all the energy level back into my body, into my mind. It was not settled in yet. So I was still forgetful. So therefore, my mom and my dad would always remind me, you got a job. What? I do? I mean, I'm thinking like that, right? I mean, I'm responding that way.
Right.
And they're like, oh my goodness, he forgot. And well, look, I mean, please forgive me, but I mean, I'm trying to get my mind right, you know? And so they have to understand that. That's why, I mean, hey, my mind was so, I mean, hey, if you had to drop weight like I did it, you'd be in the same situation that I would be in. And you'd be wondering, wow, okay, I know what he's going through or whatever. But you guys don't have to go through that. Thank goodness. I hope you don't ever, anybody, go through that structure that I had to go through. It was a crazy experience, you know, but you know, I'm glad it's over with.
So you start working there with Top Rank. What are your duties there exactly? What do you do there for Top
You know
Rank?
what's crazy? What's crazy was, number one, I was there first week, and eventually, I'm noticing I'm supposed to be helping out with the PR department, public relations, and I'm like, okay, you know, so you know, just take a step at a time. Take a step at a time. I don't know nothing about what I'm doing, but I'm just, you know, trying to get a hold of the grip, get a grip of what's supposed to be done. So, you know, yeah, I mean, you know, it's all about the paperwork now, and that's what I'm looking at. I'm noticing newspapers, paperwork, press releases, all these little intangibles of PR, and so yeah, I mean, I'm just busy, just trying to get this thing done. I mean, trying to figure it out, trying to get this structure going through my head, and you know, it's interesting. It's going good. I mean, you know, but nevertheless, my head is forgotten or it forgets. So I had to start writing notes on what I did so I can remind myself what I did that day. So, because I forget, what did I do yesterday? Where's my notes? You know, I look at my notes. I did this, I did that, I did that. I was helping out this man, helping out this guy. You know, I'm trying to find this guy, that guy, blah, 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 whatever. But once I started getting a handle on myself, I was starting to little by little, I started capturing my mind getting back together. My memory was starting to come together as well. So little things were stuck. It wasn't overnight. This was a process to build upon, to get myself to remember all these things that I needed to get myself to remember on. And it took me finally, I started, you know, we were going to shows, this and that, whatever, right? That was 87. So 88 comes around. What's 88? The Olympic year.
Yeah.
That's the Olympic year.
Seoul, Korea.
So 88 comes around. Okay, the Olympic year. Mr. Trampler, Bruce, he's a matchmaker. Mm-hmm. He asked me, do I want to go to Concord with him? I said, absolutely. I didn't budge. I didn't wait. I said, absolutely. Why not? Yeah, let's go. We take the road trip. Boom. He gets a rental car. We take off. We go. There was three of us. I don't remember who the third guy was, but we go there, and I'm watching a bunch of guys, right, compete in the Olympic trials and what have you. And it just so happens that one young man catches my eye. I'm talking about, like, if I was a scout at a baseball field, I'd be able to scout baseball players, mm-hmm. or a player at least. Well, it's not even like that, because I'm watching boxing. And who's that boxer that catches my eye? It was Michael Carbajal. I'm thinking, man, I'm watching him move, and I'm watching him do this and doing that, blah, 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 blah. And I'm kind of like, damn, from all these young men that are on the U.S. team or trying to make the U.S. team, this is the young man that stands out to me. this guy right here, and his name is Michael Carbajal. And wow, I'm just like, I wrote his name down so I won't forget. Sure, I'm trying to get a bout sheet or get something like that, but I write the name on the side anyway, just so I won't forget. Keep this young man in mind. He's somebody to look out for. Possibly when the Olympics come, maybe. Yeah. And if anything, I'm looking beyond that. I'm thinking pros already. So I'm saying when they want to sign somebody, this is one young man I would like to sign. So I'm keeping him on the board, on my little board, and saying, yeah, okay, I got somebody I want to sign, but we still got to go through the Olympic process. And hey, lo and behold, he comes home with a silver medal. Beautiful.
Yeah, it was a silver, but it should have been a gold.
No, of course. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So yeah, of course. And so that's fine. Hey, he medaled. That's the thing. Yeah. He medaled. Yeah. If you medal, you're in for. You're making a statement that that you belong. In other words, right. If you medal, you're making a statement that you belong. That you're not just an ordinary, amateur. You got something. You got some stability in you. You got some structure to make it to the next stage. What's that next stage? Can you add that one?
Yeah, the pros.
The pros, exactly. The pro level. So I said, this young man can make a special pro once he's ready for that.
And I've always said, man, and actually it's so weird because I didn't know that you did this until maybe about a week ago. I saw your induction to the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame, but and that was.
I said that should have been. Excuse me.
And that was. And that was brought up, and I didn't even know about that. Well, what you didn't know also, and I don't think I told you until now, is that about a week or two prior to even talking to you to have you on, I've been going back and forth with Michael's girlfriend to bring him on, and I've always said he's one of my all-time favorite fighters, and so I can't wait to get him on, and I can't wait to talk to him, and
Michael C.
Yeah, Carbajal. And,
really?
Yeah. So this was before I talked to you. So when I heard last week, when I saw the your induction and that you were a part of him becoming a pro or signing with Top Rank, I was like, wait, what? These are the two guys that I'm talking to bring on. How can they be connected like this? So it's a big treat for me. And I can't wait to bring them on. And
now you're getting the whole 411.
Yeah, and now I'm getting the 411 before even talking to him.
So it kind of fills you in, rather.
Yeah.
On how this whole structure was.
And I'm going to bring this up too to him. So
yeah, well, you got this to back you up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean this is a platform that backs you up because it's giving you understanding how the whole process came about.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And it's just man, I don't know how, but it's almost like I wrote a book and this thing played out like that.
Well, and it's weird how no matter what, like the boxers of, let's say your day, you could connect the dots along the way. Like you were supposed to be, like we were talking about earlier, the first Latino American Olympian.
Yeah.
Then in '84, Paul Gonzalez, became the first,
right,
and he was from the L area. And then in '88, Carbajal became the second. And and again, that ties to you because you would have been the first. You know what I mean? So
politics.
That's freaking crazy how that all works together. It's all connected in that way. You know what I mean?
Yep. Politics played a big role on that one.
And I'm sure you saw Michael just like I did. Because the reason he's one of my favorites and the reason he was a standout was because I used to see him on TV, and I was like, man, this little guy looks like a little thug, but he looks like all my friends. He looks like me. He looks like, I mean, I'm not used to seeing that and seeing a successful Latino American, in anything, in sports, on TV, anything, and then down the line, what was it, 92, 93 when he fought Chiquita. It was a first $1 million gate at that weight class, and who's the one that found him again? So it was like and then from what I hear, he's been one of Top Rank's all-time pound-for-pound greats.
Yeah, I mean, he was a real crowd pleaser, and he was just, I would just put a blessing in disguise for me, that is,
Yeah.
because he was doing everything accordingly, and you want to see a W at the end of that.
And then his very last fight was against in his last fight, most people lose their last fights because they're older and past their prime, but he beat Jorge Arce. And Jorge Arce later on became, great, so, that's crazy. That's crazy,
I know. It is mind-boggling, man.
That's crazy.
It's a crazy sport, man.
Yeah, but yeah, back to you, and everything going on with Top Rank and scouting and everything. How do you see that company now, Top Rank, your employer? What do you think of that company today?
It's changing
as a whole.
I could see it changing.
Yeah.
And yeah, well, sign of the times. And I mean, the boss, he's getting, up there, and but though, I mean, I don't see no stopping in him, and that's a good sign. I mean, I don't know what he's taking, because I want to ask him.
Yeah.
What are you taking? I want to ask, but is it proper for me to ask him? I don't think so. He has the one thing I know about him. See, this is the thing I know about him.
Yeah.
He's very, very private.
Yeah.
That's why I'm afraid to say, hey, what kind of multi-pack are you taking today? Or,
Do you have a fountain of youth in your backyard? What the heck's going on here, something,
What's that chemical balance you're taking today? I mean, what did the doctor tell you to take on your every morning process? I can't be that vogue or bold and start asking those kind of questions. I just gotta leave him alone. Just be proud that, hey, at this stage that he's at, and age, I mean, when I see him, I'm so damn proud to see him being able to get around, because, I mean, hey, at this stage, I mean, people slow down.
As far as I know, the longest going successful promoter of all time. I mean, who else has got to be his age and still going?
Exactly. So. That's why I'm like, man, I want to know his secret,
Yeah. Today you see all these different boxers and what you do, and you go to the gyms and check out all the new talent and stuff. You compare that to what you went through, and all the years of your experience. I know it's a dumb question to ask, because everybody from the old school always says, "Oh yeah, the guys from the new school ain't nothing compared to us." Every generation says that the people before you probably said the same thing about you guys, and so forth. But what do you see? What are the differences, from the easily noticeable differences from what you guys did from today?
What's happening is that today's world, it's so much high tech and so much, different. They're trying to do things to better it for the athletes, and that's what it is. Is that today's machinery development program is so much more upscale now than before. So it's almost like they're making it easier for the next generation, which makes it so much easier that the new generation that's coming around doesn't have to sacrifice like the old generation. That's why the old generation is like, these guys are spoiled. They're not doing it the hard way, the way we had to.
Right.
That's what they would say if they had to say it, but they're not going to say none because they're not around. So, but I could see it though. That's the thing. I could see it. So I'm not. Like I said, I keep my mouth shut because I can already see it. I read it. So I'm like, wow. I keep my mouth shut, but I'm thinking to myself, man, these guys, they don't know what sacrifice is. They got these new machines and all these different new intangibles to get yourself even prepared, a lot more skillful than back in the day. So these guys, man, they should appreciate. No, they don't appreciate it. They take it for granted. And I notice it. I could see it. They take it all for granted. And I'm like, wow, these guys don't know what suffering is. because we had to do it, and that's why they're upscaling with the programs now, so that they don't have to go through the hardship that the other generation had to go through. And that's why I say these guys are spoiled, but they don't know what that means.
So
it's crazy.
Having said everything you just said right now, if somebody gave you the 20-year-old Richie Sandoval body again and say, all right, here you go, and you're back to new again, and do it all over again, would you want to train like the guys today, or would you want to stay doing how you did it back in your time?
Well, the thing is that you might get an edge on today's world, though. That's the only difference. Why? Because you have so many different, in fact, like vitamins, so many proteins, things to get your body right, just feeling right up. And if you had to be back in the day, it's kind of like they didn't have that. So it's hard to kind of balance it out. But me being a Libra, I'm a balanced guy, Yeah. I'm right there and I can see it, but and I kind of tell myself, gee, this isn't fair. We had to go through this and this and that, and now these guys, they don't have to do that. Yeah. They can easily get a protein or a shake or whatever, or these pills, vitamins or whatever, or even shots or whatever. I don't know, not too many get shots, but there might be some, when you get sick or whatever, you can take a shot and boom, bounces you right back.
Let me ask you something. If we backtrack a little bit, we talk about that, backing up to the Canizales fight again.
Yeah.
If let's say you didn't fight that fight, and let's say like whatever happened, and you could have made the way, and the fight didn't happen, how much longer do you think your career would have gone without that fight and without having to?
That's a good question. I never really thought about it, but the fact that now that you said that, though, I would think that more than likely I would have to go to another division.
Right.
The next division up, 122.
Yeah. That would have been
I would have made that move
because you wouldn't have been able to make the
118 anymore. Right. Yeah.
So you think your career, because I mean, think about it. You didn't turn pro till the end of 80, and then your career was over by the beginning of 86. I mean, you had a short career, and so because of that fight,
right?
If your manager wouldn't have taken that fight and let you have gone up in weight and fought, who knows? You would have got another 5-10 years, and
nobody knows exactly. Sure. I was thinking something similar. It crossed my mind.
Do you get mad when you think about that? Like, do you look at think of your trainers and say, "Shit, I had bad management," type of thing, or do you just kind of let it go?
Number one, I want to think about it, but sometimes I tell myself, just let it go.
Yeah.
Just let it go. Leave it alone. Turn the page.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Go
Mm-hmm.
forward.
Right.
The past is the past.
No reason to dwell on it.
Yeah. There's nothing I can do to fix it. So let's just keep going. Look for the new structures now in life. And that's just the way it is. I mean, sometimes I always tell myself, sometimes life is not fair, and you got to roll with the punches. That's the name of the game, rolling with the punches, and you have to go take the good with the bad with the good.
And like we were saying, your career only lasted like just over 5 years when you think about it, like 5.5 years maybe of a pro career, and you would figure, well, that's a short career, but at the same time,
it is.
Looking at your whole life though, and everything that you went through boxing, it's like
I know, and I gotta be thankful because I still have my brains.
Yeah, it's like a whole. I mean, you could make a movie on this stuff, And,
yeah, I know.
And you would figure, oh, somebody had a 5-year career, big deal, But then everything that happened in between and around and because of and even now, in a way, it's a success story because you're still working in the sport that you love for the biggest company that there is. So it's like,
right.
Like how is that not a success story?
That's hey, that's for other guys to take note.
Yeah. And like I brought up earlier, 2017, you were inducted to the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame. What did you think about that when you got that call saying, "Hey, this is what we're going to do"?
I was surprised, number one, because I never thought about it. It came as a surprise. And when I got the call, the word, I'm like, really? I mean, and I kept telling myself, is this supposed to happen? I was a little dumbfounded because, man, I mean, I thought, this is interesting. I mean, after all, everything I went through, and then this, I mean, I'm just kind of like, I'm a little shaken up on this, and I'm thinking, am I dreaming or what? I mean, is this? I mean, it's one of those feelings of, wow. I mean, this happened, this happened, this happened. I'm trying to break everything down, and I'm saying, I'm going, really. I mean, it's just mind-boggling. I'm telling myself, wow, I'm getting inducted. Wow. And the first person I talked to was my mom. I gave her a call. I said, guess what? And I told her, if my dad would have been here, I would have told him. But now it's every time I get something, I talk to mom. And yeah, I mean, she was excited. She was happy. Yeah, she goes, yeah, well, all your sacrifices are paying off again. I said, when you tell me, I said, absolutely. I know what you mean.
And it's
one of those, it's just like a story tale book, I just can't, I can't believe it.
And then let's add to that, another person that was inducted with you was Michael Carbajal, the guy that you helped find for top rank.
Oh my goodness.
So, I mean.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
That's crazy.
Oh my God. I'm like, am I dreaming? Wow. That's right. I'm saying, wow.
That's
okay.
Crazy, man.
It's unbelievable. It's crazy, but it's, just, you talk about feeling grateful, thankful. Yeah, I mean, there's a side that I'm just thinking, man, the way my career ended wasn't the way I wanted it. But then again, there's some things that are coming about that are uplifting me, and that's these new guys that are coming around, and well, I'm still trying to find one more now. The boss says, find me one more. And I said, oh, cool. I just got to be patient. That's the only thing. I got to be patient because if I want to find something quality wise, I have to be patient because they don't come around like, show me a dozen eggs and I'll pick you the best ones. So here comes another row of fighters, and not every fighter is going to be the one that's going to be putting the platform on for, the parade or whatever you want to call it. I got to be looking at whatever I want to find and what I think is reason enough to say this is the guy that attracts me, but I got to be patient enough.
And just to kind of throw out another one of your family members out there, your brother, your brother Albert, he had a stellar career as well. For those that don't know who he was, and what do you think of your brother's career? Just throwing him, out there for people that
he was a matinee idol. Yeah. He was a matinee idol in L.A. at the Olympic Auditorium.
Yeah.
I mean, when you heard his name, that's what the name was all about. It was supposed to be a name that was catchy.
Yeah.
And that's why he picked it out, Superfly.
Yeah.
There's a certain catchy stigma on it that he says, you hear that name and boom, you know who it is.
Yeah.
So that's why he caught on to it. He wanted me to ride with it, but I couldn't do it. I said, look, there's only one Superfly, and that's you.
Yeah.
I said, I can't ride with a Superfly 2.
Yeah.
He goes, really? You don't think so? I go, look, I know I can't because it's just not me. We got two different styles.
Yeah.
We got two different characters. He's more spontaneous, more, he's got this flash showmanship in him.
Yeah.
I don't have that. And I notice that I'm too serious. I'm just simply more business on my forms.
Mm-hmm.
I have a different character in me, and he's got he goes with the crowd and he waves to the crowd. I mean, he's got that Ali kind of personality type thing, but I don't, and that's why I couldn't go with that fly number 2. So there it is. I mean, we got two different personalities, and I just don't have that one that people would want to celebrate with, I guess you can call it.
You guys were raised around the Davilas as well, right? There was another Albert, which was
Yeah, because the Davilas used to train first. They were first with Tony Serta, and then I don't know, something about Tony found some sort of, I don't know what if it was character,
Mhm.
if it was I have no clue, but Tony started having more openness with us Sandovals than the Davilas,
Mm.
and eventually the Davilas started like shying away and decided to go L.A. instead of Pomona, and that's how this whole thing divided.
Not that long after your last fight there, that's when
Yeah,
everything started. That's when the rounds went down to like 12, and I'm not saying it
yeah,
was because of that fight. I'm saying it was
no,
around that
of
time
course,
because
yeah,
it started opening people's eyes too.
right, exactly. You got a point there because I started noticing that myself, and I noticed that, and I said, "Wow, okay, really?" I mean, I kind of thought it was my fault, you know. For a second, I was thinking it was maybe because of my fight,
Mhm.
but no, 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 no. I mean, there was other fights as well that things were happening, and yeah, I mean, there was so many issues about the weigh-in as well being the same day, and now they do it the night before. So there was a lot of different issues on trying to protect the fighters because of the dangers that can absorb the fighter, from making the weight and then the same day, and um, having to get strength back, and having an equal amount capacity, both fighters, and same strength level of energy and what have you. I mean, there was so many things that they started accounting for, and yeah, I mean, I'm like, wow, that's they're doing it for the safety of the fighters.
Yeah.
There's too many deaths. There was several deaths happening around that time frame,
Yeah.
and mine's was almost, they almost saw me as almost a dead person, but
Yeah.
I did an amazing recovery from what I understand overnight. Overnight, I recuperated so well overnight, but that's because of the dehydration.
Yeah.
Dehydration caused me not to be able to compete. I saw a fight only once, and it's been so long since I've seen it that I said, "Dang, that guy was me," and I was calling him a clown. I said, "Why don't you just put a bozo mask on him? Say, hit me there, hit me here, hit me on the nose, hit me, because I wasn't doing anything to protect myself. I was just letting the guy hit me at will, and he was able to knock me out."
Everything that you're saying, and look at you're here, and after all this, after all these things that you went through in your life, and all these obstacles and everything that you went through, and
That
you
good
know
I could remember.
yeah, and while you still remember, you have a memory, you're able to talk, you're able to
Yeah.
go around, you're working, you're still in the sport that you love, everything's going good. And even though it's been this long and you've done it for this long already, and all the years that you have, even though you're going to be here for like another 100 years, man.
Lord hear you.
How would you want your what I call the three big F's to remember you? Your friends, your family, your fans. How do you want to be remembered as an individual?
Oh my goodness. That's a tough question. But because everybody has a different opinion of what I just said, and people would have a certain balance in the way they digested that portion of whatever I just got through talking about. A competitor, a competitor that went to compete and show what he learned from his early stages, and now he's competing at an adult stage. So now he's bringing on his talent and trying to entertain the public, and the public will decide right there, do they like it or do they not? I mean, is he talented or is he not talented? Is he crafty? That's the key. Is he crafty? Well, it all depends on how the fight ends up. It all that's for the crowd and the public to say, he looked pretty sharp this night, or I kind of like what he did, but then again, I think he should have done this a little more or that a little more, whichever, because everybody has a different opinion. But the thing is, I number one, I hope they come out saying he looks a lot better now. because he's able to settle himself down now. He doesn't have to be so fast and flashy or peppery or whatever you want to call it to score points or whatever. Now he can pace himself and, being able to go more rounds if he can. But the craftiness is what I want people to look at. Being able to structure myself to show a definition of a true boxer, puncher, somebody that can really show the talents of boxing, the art of boxing. That's pretty much the way I want to leave it, with the art of boxing. Entertain the public with that kind of description right there. The art of boxing, being able to show talent and be able to execute punches that can show, ooh, he really hit him with that shot. This guy's almost ready to go. Those kind of descriptions. It's something I want to leave people with, that frame of thought right there.
And the first time I ever got to read about you and hear about you, I read all these different stories, like I said, and I always got conflicting, stories about, the airplane you're supposed to be on, or what happened with what happened with the Canizales fight, or what happened in the Olympics, or whatever, and I always got conflicting things. And I always said, man, I wonder what this guy how he would react if I asked him about this. I never, knew that I would ever get to talk to you and ask you about this directly. And I always figured it's all going to stay a mystery to me, and, the first time I got to talk to you, man, and, ask you to come on, and, we had a little chat there. We talked for a while and stuff like that. And I was like, man, this guy, man, he had a real life. He had a life that had, you could make a movie of him. He's like the cat with 9 lives, and, you lived through it, and
9 lives. Oh my goodness.
And you're telling me all these, stories, and you did it with, such a nice demeanor without having to get upset about anything, or, you told it to me straight, in other words. And,
I'm able to laugh about it too.
And I appreciate it. And, man, I'm glad I had you on and got to talk to you, and have got to talk to you on a few different occasions, and got to talk to you about boxing and everything in between, and all your stories, man. And, I've learned a lot from you, man. And I appreciate everything that you told me, all the different stories, all the things about your career and your experiences, and, just everything.
Through those little experiences, somewhere around those lines, you're getting educated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what I want to leave people with, getting a certain form of education from the struggles of a true person that's trying to make it happen. Becoming, not only was it an Olympian, but also a world champion. But it's people wonder if it's an overnight thing. No, it's not. There's a lot of struggles. In order to gain, you have to struggle. And that's one thing I want people to remember. And in order to gain success, you have to struggle first. Yeah. Struggling is like doing your road work.
It's been a great pleasure and honor to have you on and talk to you, man. And I appreciate all the time.
Now you know how we are connected in some way, somehow. Mm-hmm. There was a way that we eventually were brought together.
Right.
And,
I appreciate it, man, very much, man. And thank you for everything. And thank you for all the lessons, man. I really appreciate it.
Ooh, yeah.